Hi, this is Hi Bob Poor Bob, and we're about to play some Ultimate General Civil War.
Hello, and welcome back to the second try at Chantilly here. We are going to run with the exact same units that we did before. All of them are a maxed out infantry unit, maxed out size, 2,500 infantry units. And we are going to run basically the same strategy, just a little bit refined based on where units spawn and things like that, just to give myself a little bit better chance to do what I'm trying to do here. That's the goal here. Goal is just to do a little bit better this time. So we're moving down to just kind of corral those skirmishers that start out down there better. And we're still going to be stupid and take this shot from the side on one of those units there whenever I should be, smarter about that and remember that they spawn in those woods there and I'm going to get shot. So, yeah, I should be more careful, and I am not. Evidently, I don't learn from these things. We are going to go ahead and actually move our skirmishers out there, which will help keep us from getting surprised. Let us kind of wrap up their skirmishers a little bit faster and better, which is a good thing because their skirmishers are pretty annoying on this map, I'm not going to lie. The rest of our troops start coming in pretty quick here, and we're going to get them moving, keep them moving, and we're going to try to get everybody into position down here in the south as fast as possible without running everybody because there's no reason to. We did take some shots there from our own men. I mean, we lost about 10 men from each of those skirmishers. This is what it looked like from one volley. It's not quite 10. It was like 8 or 9 for each of them. So that's what I'm talking about whenever I say you can take a ton of losses if you're not careful. Because they would both taken like 1 or 2 losses from melee, and then suddenly they take one shot and they each lose 8 men. Which is, 20 men really fast, especially whenever you have multiple units of infantry in there and multiple units firing at them. Combine, that means that you are going to lose a ton of men instantly. Here we're just trying to get into position. We're going to use a little bit different setup here. We're going to have one guy start off on the end and 2 units capping off the 1 unit that spawns, and then the L shape in the woods that keeps them from coming from the south and the right, the east there. We are getting our units in place. We are going to not use the north-south unit there in the woods until we get the reinforcements in. So one of the reinforcing units will be the one that goes to that spot, just to kind of allow me to spread my units one further to the south, so we have 1 unit at the rear there that allows us to push that unit that spawns in to the south there to the east as fast as possible. So that unit spawns in again, and that's good. And now we are a little bit behind schedule here. I wanted to have a unit pretty much crossing the river now, or a little bit in just a second, and instead that unit is still trying to move into the position to cross the river instead. So I'm a little bit behind. I'm a little bit disappointed in the movement there. I was hoping to be a little bit better. That guy right there that's moving still needs to get there quite a bit sooner. He needs to be ready to cross the river right now, because as soon as this guy engages McCook there, he could be crossing the river, because there's no way that unit is going to fire that far north at that point. But he's still trying to move. I am getting his skirmisher across there, which is good, but it's not quite, I don't know, maybe I didn't lose but a couple seconds there, but I really wanted him to be in position just a little bit sooner to allow me to get there just a little bit faster. I feel like it still goes okay, just not as good as I wanted it to. I'm thinking about moving up there, and then I decide, nope, that's just not going to work right now. Like, I can't get there in time. There's already units moving up. I just don't think that's going to be where I want to be. So I go ahead and put those guys in the fortifications there, and I want these guys to move across as well. So the goal here is to keep that unit from engaging my unit that's trying to get behind him without, and then he instantly routes, and I'm like, oh great, I didn't want him to route yet. I wanted him to take a couple more shots than that, and I messed up and didn't put my unit to the north there on hold fire. He should have been on hold fire so that then they would keep them to the north there for just a little bit longer. That's the one thing here that I feel like really could have been better and would have really helped keep them from having the problems that they did. So I go ahead and let them get in a melee there, and we do lose probably 10 men, which is fine. It's just to stall this guy for right now. We're just trying to keep him. Oh, well, no, that's not just 10 men. That's a lot more than 10 men. They get captured. That's what it is. I completely forgot that guy got captured, which is a good thing, because if he had sat there and taken all those shots and taken that melee, he probably would have disbanded instead, and that would be 250 men lost. Instead, he just boosted this guy's morale up high enough that now that guy is marching back towards the fight instead of marching away from it, which is perfect. It's exactly what we wanted here. We're going to move up in the south here. Look at that. I can get a shot on that guy. I'm like, wow, I didn't have to move hardly at all. I can get a shot. He's not in... They're not wanting to take shots at me. We're taking shots at their commander. Perfect. Everything is working great. Exactly where we want to be right now. We can keep beating up on some of these little skirmisher units they have, and I see my skirmisher unit coming, and I'm like, oh, I guess I should stop beating up on their skirmishers, because I should recapture my skirmishers, because if I don't, and then I misclick, and my unit completely turns around and just does all kinds of stupid stuff, that really made me mad. I really felt like I could have done a lot better there if I just had just a little bit smarter play there. We're getting great shots on those guys there. That is absolutely perfect. I was wanting to move that guy down a little bit, get him a little bit better cover, but it just doesn't matter. That's the catch there, is that, yes, they're taking some shots, but overall, everything is working out in my favor right now. Like, this is working great. We're about to... We might not actually pop that skirmisher, but it's awfully close. Yeah, we don't quite kill it, so we send our skirmishers over there to handle them, and we will go ahead and turn our main unit around here and hit that guy, which is good. I was hoping for a capture here, I'm not going to lie. I thought that I could get a capture there. I was wrong, but it's okay. It's not a big deal. It doesn't actually hurt anything. We get really great trades in most places. He goes straight through my unit there, which is fine. And I'm like, oh no, my skirmisher is going to get caught on the wrong side of him again. So I try to send my skirmisher straight through where he won't take as much damage, get him to the other side so that then he can meet up with his main unit as quick as possible before they have a chance to do a lot of damage to him. And it mostly works. This infantry unit behind there, I don't need that infantry unit. I could be doing this with at least one fewer infantry unit, probably with 2 fewer infantry units, to be honest, and have almost no detriment to my play here. We don't need to cover up here in the north 100% of the area there. We just need one guy to cover the center so that nobody tries to like sneak through this gap there, which nobody basically can because they get shot from both north and south of that gap. And then we just need 2 units in the forest up there because all they have is a few units there and we are taking their flank. So it's fine. We don't have to worry about all that. And the fact that we were able to get in behind them meant that they routed in a straight line for a long time instead of stopping and firing over and over again. So now we've got the units back there behind them to go ahead and actually take that forest. We've got 4 units back there and only one of theirs. That's not going to go well for them. And that's just the way that's going to go. Like, there's no way that at this point that they are going to have anything good happen out of this, because I've got every advantage at this point. I do get a little bit afraid here. This guy that just retreated back, right there in the center there, the 2,406 men, I was like, oh no, that guy is going to like just light me up as I try to march down here. And I didn't see that he just fired like one shot and didn't actually fire a real volley there, but that's all he did. And then, so I just turned my guy around real quick, and I was really afraid that he was going to fire a volley, and he didn't. He just doesn't have the morale right now. I have completely drained it, and he has not had time to recover, which is good. So we've got those guys there. It does look like we might be able to do this with like maybe one less unit, but it would be really close. So I'm thinking definitely one less unit, maybe 2 less units could get this done of infantry. 2 less infantry units could probably get this done. But what do I take instead? Artillery is so slow. They would still be dragging up from the back right now. And a unit of snipers. I've got 3 units of snipers. 2 of them are 3 stars. And they're all almost maxed out on everything but melee. And I'm not getting my skirmishers into melee just to get them some melee experience. That's not happening. So I'm sitting here going, I don't know who else to bring to this battle besides those cavalry that I was thinking about. And yes, the cavalry seem like they might be a cool idea, but then I'm like, would they have actually done a better job? And whenever it comes to that question, I'm not sure I can say they would have done a better job of this than the men that I have here. Like, I feel like I took very few casualties anywhere. I think that I did a great job of containing them and keeping them from being able to, really do almost anything. Even their artillery doesn't do much damage to me. Like, everything's pretty much wrapped up at this point. Yes, I'm losing a few men down there in melee, but overall, it's not that many. It's not that bad. It is some men, but it's not like hundreds of men in melee there. And we're just kind of moving up and closing in our circle here. We'll get them finished off pretty soon. We captured the 2 supply wagons. That's good. So now we can get those out of the way. We don't want to have them get recaptured, and we make sure and get all our men moving in the right direction. We are looking at, we're taking a few casualties here and there on our men, and they're exhausted, but that's fine. No big deal. They're not taking that many casualties, really. Not in the overall grand scheme of things. And of course, at this point, a lot of these units are just extra. Like, we could do this with like half the number of units at this point, because we pretty much got them all closed off. Not half, but like a few less. Instead of having this many, we could have, and we are going to kind of spread out a little bit, get them into the right position so that they don't, like this guy, we don't need, well, then I think about it and I'm like, oh, that guy's taking more casualties, so let's go ahead and back him out instead and put the other guy in his place so that we don't have to worry about the guy with the most casualties taking more at this point. And finally they surrender, 1,800 men. That's pretty much twice as many men as I captured last time already, and that's just 1 unit. So we're looking really good on captures. They look like they're about to route this way, and then I moved 2 full infantry units up here, and they're just like, yeah, I don't think we should route that way. Even though my infantry are completely exhausted, and there's no way they'd do that good in melee, they're still there. There's still 2 big units of infantry moving up to guard against them making that move. And now they can just move up there hold position and just wait until they've regained some of their stamina, which is great. It's exactly what we want them to do. So we won't do any of the fire tricks where we hold fire and then fire repeatedly. On this, we are just going to do just circle of death and then get a couple captures towards the end, and that's it. We're not going to do anything real fancy. We're not going to do anything real crazy. Just get some shots on them, keep them routing. Let some of our men regain their stamina because we want to keep the stamina up. We also want to get the ammo moving around a little bit more just to make sure that everybody can get some ammo. I'm thinking one of these guys doesn't need to be here. So let's send one of them out and around, and the other guy can move forward just a little bit. Hold their fire so they can move forward without firing first, because we don't want to waste their stamina, their condition. And now I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, well that guy's definitely far enough south that he'll cover the guys down there. We're going to move to go ahead and cover this gap because there's no reason to leave that gap there. It just like asks for them to try to route through there by leaving that uncovered. And we're going to start moving towards the funnel shape that I do so often, where they can route out if they want to. It keeps them from routing through your men as much, it feels like to me. I mean, that's just the feeling I get. It's not actually like 100% all the time, but it just feels like they don't try as much to break through your men if they do have a direction that they could go. I make sure and put both of those units out there on hold so that they won't shoot my own men if they decide that they want to route into my units. My units won't immediately start firing at their backs. And we just kind of move. We open up that hole at the top. They don't seem to be going for it, which is fine. I still think that it seems to keep them from routing as hard to the sides, though, if you leave them a gap somewhere. It's just a feeling. I don't know. It seems to work pretty well most of the time. But, of course, in this case, they just sit there anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Go ahead and keep these guys from stacking on top of each other because we really don't want them to stack on top of each other. We want them to be able to move as far as possible. We've only got 46 minutes left in the match, but we do have until 1930 to keep this going if we want to. We don't really need to. We have really high stamina and all that. We are not needing to run our units as much as we did, and it's only 14 units as opposed to being, even more units. We could go ahead and back all these guys off from the corner there and allow them to route all the way to the corner while keeping them routing the whole way, and probably hold all those units in the corner with just 2 units firing at them, probably indefinitely. And maybe in the next run, that's what I'll try. But in this one, I just go ahead and decide that I want to get this over with. So we're going to put back all of the skirmisher units and move everybody forward to get into melee here. So as you can tell, we are definitely getting less kills with shots than we did before. And that's not particularly good. Look at that. That was a lot of men lost there. We really should not have had them get so far ahead of the next unit. But it all works out okay. We suck them into melee there. We get a little bit annoyed at that, but it's okay. That guy there starts firing, and I want him to stop, and he doesn't stop until I tell him to move. And I'm just like, oh man, sometimes these guys get on my nerves. So we're just moving in here for the capture. We're going to get at least one more capture. This ends up a little bit weird, I'm not going to lie. I've never seen this happen to this degree. And I don't know why it happens. I'm a little confused. I get a capture in the middle of all those units, and I'm like, that seems a little bit weird. And then I get a second, and I'm like, Huh. How did I just get 2 units captured that fast? Okay, so I'm going to slow this down to look at this part. So we get 3,300 Harper's Ferries back, and we lose only 1623, which is much better. We take out a ton of enemy units here. We're really happy with that. We do get 2 captures that were kind of iffy. Like, I don't know why I got them. I kind of like that I got them, but I don't understand why. Maybe, I don't think, Pandakraut has said there's been no changes to the code at the time that I installed this mod to how captures work. I don't think there is any changes, but this was a little bit weird. I'm not going to lie. I was pretty happy with, like, this Douglas guy did not need to be in this battle at all. Like, as you can see, 0 kills, 5 deaths. Like, he didn't need to be there at all. If he hadn't been there, this match wouldn't have been any different. I would have done the exact same things. I just wouldn't have had him behind my unit, basically. And that's the only difference. Looking at all my losses, most of my units got really good kills and pretty low losses. There is that Legate there that took 306 losses and only killed 1,000 men. That's a little bit bad. And that guy, 359 losses and only 948 kills. So I'm a little bit disappointed in those 2 units, but everybody else got less than 200 deaths. We held most of the Union men to, like, maybe 1 or 2 of them got 300 kills, but for the most part, they all were pretty low. Pretty happy about this, obviously. We got maybe 1,000 or 2,000 more money, but overall it wasn't all that much different. Looking at losses and all that, it's pretty. And I'm back with a little bit more math. So, you watch the first run. You watch the second run. So, in the first run, I killed more men because I captured more in the second run. Like, 4 times more men. I captured 4 times more men. I got a few more guns in the second one. So, the efficiency is up by 1. The morale is up by 1 because I ended it faster in the second one. The stamina is up by 1 because I ended it sooner in the second one. The firearms is up by 1 in the first one. The problem is that with firearms, we're dealing with a couple different factors here. How many shots you take and how many different units are able to take those shots. So I felt like I was taking a lot fewer shots with a lot fewer men in the second run because I set all those guys up and kept canceling their fire to see how much of an effect that would have on gaining firearms. The answer? Almost none. Because you got to keep in mind that I shot and killed more men in this run. So, duh, it would lead to more firearms. But not by much. Not by a noticeable amount. Because they killed more men at the same rate as efficiency went up. The firearms went up. So this really didn't do anything. All that effort for basically no reward. And then we have the fact that we came out of there with only 33,000 of our 35,000 men. We almost got to 30,000 Harper's Ferries in the first run. This is the first run here. We lost quite a few Springfields, but we can easily replace them. We lost some infields. We still have enough to replace them. The only thing is that we're 500 short on getting another unit of Harper's Ferries. That's pretty much the only downside. We lost a few Lorenzes. We can replace them. I don't know how many were lost and how many are just like tied up down here. Oh, all of them are just tied up down there. So we don't actually have, I don't think we took any Lorenzes into that fight. These are all our Lorenzes in here, I think, pretty much somewhere. There's a Lorenz there. So I think that's all of our Lorenzes are in there still. So that's what this one looks like. Now let us go to the pulled apart second Chantilly. Oh, in my first run, they did get more rifles. So they're 53 to 58. Okay, so this is my next run taken apart. So I've got 574 more men, a few less stats, which is fine. I was just trying to get through it as fast as possible. But now I've got 800 more Harper's Ferries than before. I lost only 60, not quite 60, Springfields. I lost barely any infields. That's like 250. That's a bit. But not as many as I did in the other run. I'm not exactly sure just how many. Let's see here. We lost 220-ish Springfields, and we lost less infields in the other run than we did in this one, about by 100. So it's pretty similar between the two runs for the infields and the Springfields. But where it really makes a difference is those Harper's Ferries. That's 800 more Harper's Ferries that I have now, mostly because of the captures, but also because I lost less men. And of course, it doesn't affect anything down that way. And I'm not sure about my promotions either, but I don't see how they would be all that much worse. I didn't get that much less experience than I did in the other one. So as a conclusion, I'm pretty sure that it has really no effect if you just cancel your fire and fire multiple times. I believe that what actually changes it is just your reload rate and how much red bar you use up. So if you use up half of your red bar, then you gain that much experience. If you use up your whole red bar, then you gain that much experience. The actual reload rate affects that. The amount of actual number of times you start firing does not affect how much experience you gain on this small scale. Obviously, there is other things to consider here, but I don't see how the change is enough to show that it's a significant amount of change. You guys have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one.